Hello Internet, my name's Peter, and today I'm going to be talking about my experience modifying a Canon FD lens, how I got stuck and thought I broke the whole thing. Turns out I didn't. It was really stressful, but I ended up figuring out what I did wrong. Had to do with the aperture ring on the inside of the lens, and hopefully I can share my experience and you guys can learn something so that when you open a camera and something snaps and you think you broke the whole thing, you can realize, hey wait, I didn't break it, and figure out how to fix it. So this is the Canon 50mm Canon FD 50mm 1.8 lens. This is also my friend's lens that he just basically gave to me. So I felt really bad that he gifted me a lens, and then the first thing I did was break it. I was actually going in to de-click it. It's currently clicked right now, and that's an easy fix that I can show you guys as well. But I've since my first attempt where I thought I broke everything, since taken this lens apart a million times, and it's actually really easy. So let me show you. This is a back cap. I've already taken the front cap off. This is the FD back of an FD lens. Making sure you guys can see all that, and you'll see, yeah, you can see right through, nice and pretty. It's actually pretty dusty and gunky, but clean it later. This is more about getting into the internals. So you'll see this, there's two rings on the outside. There's a silver ring, metal ring that goes around, and then there's a plastic ring on the side, like a hard plastic that has these 3 screws on it, that has a red dot on it. The way you take both of those out is by unscrewing the 3 screws on the sides of the lens towards the back. I'm using, by the way, a JIS type 00 screwdriver. It's a Japanese industrial standard. This is what you really should have to open up these lenses. I only tried it based on this. I looked at a lot of reviews online. Ed Mika does his own reviews on opening up the lens. Always recommends using this, because if you don't use the Japanese industrial standard type 0 or 00 screwdriver, you can end up stripping these screws pretty bad, and you don't want that. And basically once you strip the screws, unless you have replacements, the lens is kind of shot. These on the outside, if you were to convert it, are less important. Hopefully you guys can see all this. Shooting with 2 cameras, so when my hand blocks the lens, which it's doing right now, the other camera can come into play. So these aren't too bad. Oops, yeah, actually. Here we go. Gotta make sure you apply enough pressure to get this off. Make sure we don't lose our screws. Okay, so we got our 3 screws off. Keep all my screws in this little lens cap. That's a great way to keep them handy. Then take a flathead, or you can use your other screwdriver, but I like to try and preserve my teeth on that screwdriver. And just lift up the lip of this silver ring. It pops out. There's other videos on YouTube. I'm kind of repeating what other people have taught me via the YouTube community. So right now nothing happened, but initially once I tried to do this the first time, quite ambitiously, something clicked, and then I realized, what was that? So this piece comes out. It will make a click. Some part disengaging, and that's totally fine. It actually wants to kind of rotate a little bit. So I'm rotating it clockwise. Then it clicks, releases a little spring. This part comes out. So here are the 2 pieces. Don't need them anymore. Those are done. Well, you'll put them back later. Then on the inside you'll see there's another ring with 3 more screws. Remember the orientation of this screw? There are either going to be 2 screws here or just 1, and I think they're different sizes. Everyone tells me they're different sizes. Actually, seems like this works on both, but yeah, if this is on the left, make sure you keep that same screw on the left. So now these are the screws that you will need for both an EF conversion and also just to put it all back. So I'm going to unscrew these 3 screws. And take this out. There it goes. This you don't need. Still haven't figured out what this little thing does. Anybody of the commenters, maybe you can tell me what that does, because I don't really get it. But I'm very new to FD lenses, so forgive me. So now we see this ring. This is the aperture ring that is below that. It'll be engaged like so. Right now it's kind of, oh, right now it's kind of stuck in there. Let me put this together for you so I can show you when you take the lens out. I'm gonna cut actually. Cool. So now you've opened up your lens and you have this aperture ring here, and then another little aluminum ring, or whatever it is, a little metal ring inside of it. So these, when it is engaged, these actually turn in conjunction, and they move a little piece here which moves this inner ring right there. That's the one that freaked me out. You guys can probably see it better in the aerial view, but there's some, this part's pretty smooth. Then there's a little thing here which gets moved. Actually, these two notches. On most lenses there will be a little goalpost here. Right now there's only one, and I guess the 50mm 1.8 doesn't have two. I don't know why. It figures out a way to do it with one. And then, if you can see, maybe I'll see it on, try to see it on both cameras. There is a little thing here. I'm going to shine a flashlight at it. And I'll put it on this camera. Oh. There is a little piece right there. Now, you'll notice that this part has like some weird grooves in it, the silver ring on the inside. Then this little black part here has a little knob which is attached by this thing there. I'm just going to take out the iris, the aperture ring on the outside and this little aluminum thing just to demonstrate, give myself a little more room. So this pops out, you align this section right here, this little notch, and that just pulls right out. Oh, can't see, can you? And that just pulls right out. And then this part, when you rotate it, it'll just pop basically right out. Yeah. So, yeah, and then it just pops out. There you go. And we have a whole stack of pieces next to us in our lens. This is about as stripped down as at least I'm comfortable going. Once you start removing more pieces like this, which no one has ever recommended on the internet and I've never tried, then you start messing with things. This is about as easy as you can do without causing any damage or going past your pay grade. So now check out this ring in the middle, basically this silver ring right around the middle that has these weird notches in it. This is what controls your aperture. Can you guys see that? And do you see that on the right hand side, this little black knob is moving up and down. The grooves in it are actually, the angle of it is actually shifting this thing open and close. It's just a little spring, so if I let go it's kind of spring loaded sometimes. It sort of wants to go back because this black part, this little lever, is spring loaded. So you can actually, I can sort of wedge it off, and I don't even need the ring at this point. I can sort of open it up like this. See that? I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah. So open, close, open, close. So this is how the aperture is controlled. Now it's a large step, many steps between going from the ring to the lever that controls a little aluminum knob that catches that, which then catches this thing, which then moves the spring. That's how the aperture is controlled. Now the snap that I heard, I think, when I took it off, is just simply this. So now that's stuck. See there? I put it off of its initial groove, and now it's there. Somehow, when I open it up, or maybe it was when I messed with it, it was all kind of a blur. I was doing it pretty rushed. I ended up moving it underneath of where it needed to be. Basically got stuck. Like this was sort of popped under. Ooh, there it goes. You catch that? So now, remember how there was that little lever that used to spring out? Where'd it go? It is underneath. For some reason it gets caught there. Oh, that's because of this thing. Yeah, it is underneath where it needs to be. And I looked at this and said, okay, holy shit, what did I just do wrong? The aperture is just not working. The only way I was getting the aperture to work was this release right here, which is basically like I think it's a way that the camera enables the aperture, or at least enables the manual aperture. Otherwise it's like automatic. So this little lever is like, you know, the aperture gets set by your ring or by the camera when you're doing auto aperture on the film cameras, and then this is actually what snaps it open to snap to that aperture. Otherwise, when you're focusing, the camera will stay wide open so that you can grab your focus. Then it snaps to whatever aperture you want to be at. Or I guess it goes the other way. But anyway, so this ring is stuck, and now I'm putting this thing back, spinning this around, nothing's happening. What's going on? Easiest fix in the world. All you gotta do is push this little lever down there. You kind of have to catch it, and it's probably better tools for this, but I'm not sure if you can catch that. Going to lift it out, just like that, and it'll catch. Just for, cause I don't really trust this camera because it looks like it's glaring out or something. Let me do that again. So I'm gonna actually disengage it, which is, I'm gonna break it again. Let's see how did I break this thing? Sometimes it's hard to break. I don't know how I did it. Yeah, catch that lip. Okay, so now, see it's under there? Let me see if I can see it on this camera. Oh, it's a little dark. Okay. I'm gonna switch hands so I don't block it this time. So, this guy, right there, that little lever wants to come out. So you want to kind of find a way, maybe it's here, so you can get underneath it and just click it out. And now you're back on track. I think you guys caught that on the camera. Can't really see. But now you can see this is all the way stopped down at f22. And that's all the way open at f1.8. And when you move the iris ring, it sets this little silver part now that we're back on track, to control the aperture. Yeah. I'll show you guys how to declick the lens. So if you did want to declick the lens, oh, it looks like this kind of fell out of place. When you take off your iris ring, sorry, keep mixing up my words. When you take off your external aperture ring, I guess you can call it, the one that's on the outside of the barrel of the lens, there is this little bearing that actually is supposed to be right in here. Nope, not like that. It's kind of sideways, so it can roll over those bumps. Getting this in is a little annoying, but once it's in, it kind of stays in, and it goes over these grooves right here. So then, you see this part? This is what engages you into the auto aperture section. It's also going to stop you from putting it fully on, so you want to make sure you gauge it. Flip it upside down. That goes on. Then so you can see, gauge it, and now, here's that click. Now we're back to clicked manual aperture. Gotta throw this guy on, and that is going to go, where is it? It's going to go right there. It goes on. And this little piece fits in that notch right there. Great. And now we go back, put this whole thing back together. So now we're going to throw our main, thing that holds the main part together. Make sure we align these screws again. I'm kind of putting some pressure on it too, because that spring wants to make it pop up a little bit. No, I'm not. It should be fine, but once you put it on, you might want to put some pressure on. So yeah, and then you're going to start screwing these in the same orientation they were. Great. turn like that. It will once there's pressure put on it and things lock into place and whatnot. Great. Then this part goes on. Now this is the other part that's kind of complicated. I think it's easiest actually if you turn it to auto, I believe, because then this has the least distance between there and there. I guess, yeah, auto would be, yeah, but basically you want this piece right here that's actually on, remember that silver ring in the middle I keep talking about? That's going to connect into these goalposts on the outside, and then this little thing is going to, this thing is going to catch on the right side of this notch. So there's two springs that you sort of have to work in conjunction to put this thing back together. Yeah, I suppose it's easiest if it's locked in like that. So that way this is on the right side of the spring, and this is going to go right in there. Sort of sits in nice and snug, and make sure I did that right. You can also hold this spring down so that you can make sure that you have the clearance. Great. So just clicked in. Now it's in there. Must be engaged still, which means you want to rotate it. No, it's not. And then this ring goes on. There's 3 screw holes, and you're going to want those to line up. The trick with this, I found, to find out which screw holes go where, these 2 little notches go with this notch there. I'm not sure. Let's see. I can give you guys a visual. Boom! So then that pops in like so. See the screw hole there and screw hole there. Take our remaining screws, just going to dump them out. These are so little and my screwdriver is not magnetic, so let me get a magnetic GIS screwdriver. Cool. Putting this thing back together. Last screw. And almost done. Right now it is locked in there. This part's actually locked, so you rotate it back to the way this would initially be mounted on a lens and click. There you go.